Come on, defense. Let's go. Squad. Squad. Yeah, them boys coming to get you, they gon' hit you. Yeah, they hit you guaranteed, they gon' split you. Yeah. Squad. Squad. Yeah, them boys coming to get you, they gon' hit you. Yeah, they hit you guaranteed, they gon' split you. Yeah, I'm virgin in this bitch like an animal. Yeah, I be beastin'. Here I be feasting. Yeah, we be eating. Call me Big C then, but we playin' defense. When you step up on the field, better prepare for the slaughter. Someone call his mom, his wife, and his daughter. Cause we hit hard. Like some hitters, knocking at your starters. Only send out the real ones that don't bother. Now you looking scared and you nervous. Linebackers point them out, D-line air them out. Might just will send out your punt team, bring out our offense. When the defense clocked in, we be killing you. Byron Jones gone, Jeff Heath gone. Who we got left? We screaming next man up, next man up. Any one of y'all step across that line of scrimmage, we gon' light your ass up. Squad. Squad. Yeah, them boys coming to get you, they gon' hit you. Yeah, they hit you guaranteed, they gon' split you. Yeah. Squad. Squad. Yeah, them boys coming to get you, they gon' hit you. Yeah, they hit you guaranteed, they gon' split you. Yeah. Somebody, please send out the stretcher. We gonna need some help up off the field. Hit you so hard, make you disappear like David Copperfield. Purging, we scratching out your name.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, Wednesday means it is time for Square Groupers.
What it do?
What up, though? What is going on, ladies and gentlemen?
Man, it's hump day.
It's hump day. It is hump day.
Somebody getting fucked.
Somebody's. Some of them. What is it? Everlast said, some get the shit, some get the stains, some get the muscle, some get the brains, some get the power, some get the papers, some get the money, and some catch the vapors, something like that.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Sounds about right.
100%.
Yeah.
What is going on, everybody? BG, what's going on, man? I feel like we haven't seen you in a month.
Bro, it feels like I haven't been on planet Earth in a month, man. I've been on a plane, train, automobile, tram. Like, if you're a Patreon, I sent out a message today. Everybody knows. Like, man, I'm ready to sit my ass at home and be still. I'm tired of moving around.
You globetrotting, man. Globetrotting. Jesus in the building. Sarah's in the building. Brian's in the building. What up, everybody? It's good to see everybody. We got a small participation right now, but it's grown. It's growing. Simon just popped up. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Thanks for showing up again.
We got all the usual suspects coming to support us over here. Appreciate y'all. You know what I mean? Holding it down.
Oh, snap. All right. So I had to get some things back to usual. I keep forgetting how StreamYard is one of those things. If once you mess with the edit, you screw with the editing and stuff like that, forget it. You got to go back and you got to fix all of it. But anyway, guys, we're back at Square Groupers. I'm glad everybody could show up again. What we're doing today is we're just going to basically do a continuation of what we did last week. Although I didn't have a hell of a lot to cover. I did cover a couple of subjects, but
I apologize. I screwed that show up all last week. I last minute Bob. I had some things going on. Like I said, I was moving around and schedule got shifted. I could give you a ton of excuses, but I apologize. We gonna bring it today as a result, so we back in full effect.
As they always say, man, I wasn't mad. I was just disappointed. I wanted to actually hear about the experiences that you want, because I've had a lot of people come to me over the course of the last few months, especially in states like Texas and stuff like that. Oddly, the southern states, or maybe not oddly, that they are being able to find in certain head shops and stuff like this CBD strain cannabis that is only CBD, as well as Delta 8 THC, which a lot of people don't really know a lot about. So that's really what I was trying. I was like, man, I really want to hear what this, what his experience is with, because a lot of people have been coming out of that experience pretty upset,
almost
like they got taken advantage of, if I'm being honest. So,
it's like that old saying, different strokes for different folks. And I think, once you eat apples for so long and somebody says, here, try this orange, you're like, it's okay, but I like apples. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it boils down to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll be happy to share that experience. I mean, because nonetheless, like we talked about, it was more of a information gathering process for what we're talking about here, especially to inform and educate, people out there that they potentially don't run into these pitfalls or run into these challenges like we do, so we can share our inexperience here so everybody else can benefit from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What are you smoking on right now, man? I see you breaking something up.
Yeah. I got some this potential again. The logistics chain, everything is it's hit or miss sometimes. You get on a good run for 3 or 4 months. You know how it works, and then your favorite strain's gone. You got to try some other stuff, but this is kind of like mid-tier for me. The potential primates is what I'm on. It's the lava cookies. It's a pretty good, strong sativa.
Nice.
It's running about 27%. So normally 25 or better. Y'all, when I'm like Kobe, when I go in there, I'm averaging 25 or better. Y'all know, I bring me an ounce. Let me see what you got. So, but yeah, I've been rolling on this because they've been out everything else, man. But it's been holding down the fort.
Nice. Simon says, welcome back, BG.
What up, Simon, man? I remember Simon. See my twin over there. What's up, Jesus? Gang. See y'all, Sarah. Sarah knows. I should be rolling on this, but it's too pretty. So I want to thank you, Sarah. You know what I mean? I got my late Christmas present. Y'all see this? I guess this is a tie-dye handmade platter to roll some serious dank on. So appreciate that, Sarah. She's part of the gang over there. And my other twin over there, he got one too. So I'm not that special, but I felt pretty special getting it in the mail today. I was like, I normally don't get packages. What's this?
I think that was a limited edition. We both got 1 and 2 out of 2. Yeah. So that's a pretty badass deal. When Sarah was letting me know that something was coming in the mail, I already felt like, oh damn, how humbling is that? And then I was like, a rolling tray. She paid attention. She heard I didn't have a damn rolling tray. And what's
my thing is this though. I appreciate that, but nonetheless, I want to know if you made it. We need to really have a talk. But if you don't, somebody who did make it, we need to really have a talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, 100%. So what do we got? Sarah says, smoking on your new addiction. I guess that's Alien Diesel. Is that what you popped up there?
Ooh,
that's what I'm taking out of all of that right there. I got a little picture of an alien and some smoke in the diesel. So that's how intelligent I am. What up, though? Favorite time of the week, Sarah. Thank you so much for saying that. I'm kind of messing around with some of these banners and seeing which ones come out a little bit nicer. I kind of like those comment banners. There's a cool. That's old. That's what we've been messing with. I like that. That's cleaner. All right, let's do that. So yeah. Thank you for everyone who showed up yesterday for the Casually Serious podcast. I appreciate it. Thank you for everybody showing up tonight. We're definitely going to be covering some good stuff. I have been going, I think the last week or two, I think I've recorded about 6 different strain spotlights. So thanks to all you folks who've been checking those out on YouTube. I seem to be getting a lot of hits on those.
I've been seeing that, bro. Good job, man.
I have one that I did for 100% sativa too, which is sort of a breakthrough. If y'all know me. So I did.
They're trying to get me to watch a video. That's what it is.
I did a strain spotlight for something called Orange Bubblegum, which is orange crush and bubblegum. Yeah,
that sounds good.
It is ridiculously delicious, and I'm also in the midst of seeing exactly what we can do here for Square Groupers. I was talking to a couple of people, including my brother, to see exactly what they can do for a sponsorship and have this particular show stream directly through their online, their website, which is something that we've been kind of talking about. So I'm going to see my brother said he can maybe talk to a couple people. It's definitely nothing that's been promised or anything like that. But, the point is we're there's a lot of folks out there trying to help a lot of other folks out there. And
just the time for them to, help us out. That's worth its weight in gold right there now. You know what I mean? That's the only thing you can't get back from people, man, is time.
Yes, sir. So yeah, I've been noticing a couple friends that they've in Texas and Florida, they've been going into a couple of different spots and they're saying, hey, you have any cannabis? And there's no one in there that's going to tell you no. They're going to say, we do have cannabis, but it is CBD cannabis or it is Delta 8 cannabis. Now, for those of you who don't know, I believe the Delta 9 cannabinoid is something that we have all been accustomed to most of the time we've been smoking THC. in cannabis. It's, I believe, the Delta 9, maybe another version of that, but I believe it's Delta 9. So once they found Delta 8, I believe most people said to themselves, or at least the folks that isolated it said, this is something we can also market because it is a cannabinoid and it is something that does alter you in some way. I'm sure scientifically they decided to take a look at that and said, yes, that has a psychotropic effect, whether it's as strong as THC, the Delta 9, I don't believe. But a lot of friends of mine are saying that it sort of works in a placebo manner where it's not going to hit you hard like any cannabis is going to hit you. If you've been smoking cannabis, Delta 9 cannabis, regular cannabis, if you smoke this, you're probably not going to get a whole hell of a lot of feeling at it. It's going to be more of like a CBD internal level thing. What was your experience when you actually, how did it happen and it all unfold when you went into Florida to try and get some cannabis from a Florida dispensary with your card?
Yeah. I mean, we knew we were going to run into some hurdles. We had talked about it before, and I was just curious to get out there because, I'm a pretty optimistic kind of guy. I always like to think, oh, well, regardless of the fact, let's think positive about this. Like they say, speaking into existence. I'm thinking shit, who knows? I'm going down here. My whole mission was we were on family vacation. So this was kind of secondary. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because where we was at Disney World, you know what I mean? Mickey and them, they don't play with the tree over there. It's not warranted.
I've heard horror stories of my friends on acid having to go to jail there and hang out with the characters and shit like that. That ain't cool, man. Yeah.
And then plus, despite the stigma that's out there, folks that say you're addicted to it and you need it and that type of shit, oh, you can't go. To me, it was more or less, you know what I mean? If I don't run into it, that was kind of mentality I was thinking. I was being optimistic. Hey, we're going to land some tree. If not, you know what I mean? We're going to check out what it has to offer, if anything. So headed over there to harvest of Kissimmee. I was in Kissimmee down there by Disney World. So very touristic town. I mean, they had this one place you could go in and shoot guns. It was called Machine Gun America. I was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? It was all kind of stuff going on in Kissimmee, man. They had all these touristy spots or whatever. So here it is, this Harvest of Kissimmee trailer behind this main building. So I had to look it up on the Uber. The Uber guy took me over there. So I go in with my car and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm here to boop, boop, boop. And they're like, are you a Florida resident? I'm like, nope. They're like, we can't sell to you. I'm like, well, ain't that a bitch? It's three guys there. So we get to chopping it up and they tell me, hey, this building up in front, you know what I mean? They got this place, you can go up there and check out some CBD products. I'm like, well, okay. So I go in, man, this place looked like another dispensary. I'm like, man, they got joints in here. They got gummies. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, this might not be that bad after all. So I was like, give me 3 of those, give me some of those, and chopped it up with the veteran there and learned a great deal. That was called Miracle Leaf. And, he imparted a lot of great wisdom upon me. They actually had doctors' places in the back there where folks actually come and set appointments. That's their whole deal, is to bring people in to get appointments, to get the cards. And then anybody can buy any of the CBD products that are there, what you were talking about, that THC. I think I sent you those photos.
Yeah. They were all
I didn't know the brands, but I think you had recognized those. But, you know what I mean? It got some great information out of there at Miracle Leaf from the veteran. And, was thinking, man, this is all this. So, long story short, smoked one of the CBDs, and like you said, it had a very good stench to it, but the psycho effects, aren't there. You do get the relaxing feeling. It was like, oh wow, you get that, that feeling of smoking again, getting it into your lungs. It wasn't all that bad of an experience. It's just, I think, under the circumstances I was in and where I was at and everything, it just kind of detracted from it. So overall, it was bad. The gummies were great because I could just take those and chew those at will. So I popped 2 or 3 or 4 of those throughout the day. That got me through about 2-3 days. So outside of that, I was just waiting to get back home. And I think that time for me was more or less of, how am I going to fold when I don't have access to it.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way, so to speak. But I think for me mentally thinking, because that stigma is still there. Oh, you can't, people that know you, oh, you can't go 2 days without smoking, that type of shit. So. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
You know what? I'll tell you that sometimes may be the case, and that's really not necessarily anything anybody needs to worry about. I mean, in the same token, there could be people that go home every day and have a beer, and somebody goes home and has a glass of wine, and I'm not going to compare it. I'm not going to compare me saying having a glass of wine is like rolling a joint, because if that's the case, I would drink a lot of wine every day, but I don't.
Yeah, no, definitely not the same.
The thing that I've gotten, and some of the information and the feedback I've gotten for Delta 8 cannabis, has been that it feels like you got ripped off by some guy who told you were going to get, because I think it's always an expectation when you're purchasing CBD products or THC products that you're going to have something that's going to alter you in some way. Now, everyone has a different opinion and a different reaction with what they're expecting and what actually happens to them based on.
It said CBD and THC on there. Look just like a joint. Hell, I'm getting excited. I'm like, man, they just told me no back there, but this looks like what I need. So I'm like, give me 3 of those, but yeah, totally different.
And the THC, because the thing is, they weren't lying. THC, the THC was there. It was just Delta 8 THC, which is just a very, 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 very light feeling that you really won't get much of you won't get a high, you won't get any euphoria from. But again, there are a few friends of mine that are enjoying that because they still want to be able to like the taste. It's sort of like, I guess I liken it to saying to folks who like O'Doul's or any of the non-alcoholic beers, that you still want to go through the motions and taste the flavors and all the sensations that you get from enjoying the flavors, but just really none of the actual effect of it, which of course I think is a little crazy. But friends of mine like M-Dub McMoo have said that they've tried it and it gives them the feeling of smoking cannabis, but not the bring down of it or the apathy that you get and the tiredness from it. So, or
even people, because like anybody, because like as I was coming out, this other car was pulling up and these folks are like, they selling weed in there. Like they didn't know, what kind of,
right.
They're like, you got to have a card to go in there. And I was like, no, anybody can buy, And so I think a lot of that is just, based on what your experience is. Like for folks that never have smoked any kind of THC that may have ran into CBD first and they totally love it. Shit, you're getting that. That's better than nothing. You know what I mean? So while we're talking about CBD, it's all that's illegal. That's legal around the United States. Folks can go in anywhere and purchase that type of stuff, right?
CBD is, I think CBD is one of those things where while you can probably get a license to grow hemp anywhere in the States because of the act that we always talk about, some states and some cities don't recognize it, but I think more and more now do. So you can, get CBD pretty much anywhere. And I can order from Seedsman, a shout out to Seedsman, one of our affiliates. I can go to Seedsman and get 100% CBD strains and get seeds and grow them, and they come out. It looks exactly like cannabis, giant nugs and beautiful giant nugs, but it's just CBD.
Wow.
There's
so much to it. There's so much science to the game, man. Who just thought weed in a sandwich bag is what it is now?
Well, when it became a medicinal issue, then there had to be some sort of microscope where it's placed under, you know what I mean? So as soon as the microscope was placed, that's when you started getting lab tested. That's when we start talking, oh, this is 17%, that's 20%. And then incorporated with all that is also the concentrates being made and stuff like that. So I think it's great. I think it's excellent on a medical and scientific level. I think for people who are dealing with cancer, who might not want a very, very heavy THC count, depending on stages that they're in, they could possibly do well with Delta 8. But I won't be seeking it out because why bother? In my mind, really.
Yeah.
And what's interesting too is there is and I figure I just feel like I should mention this. There is a Reddit subreddit called Leaves, Leaves, and our producer M-Dub sent me the link, which is it was pretty interesting. It is all a bunch of people who are in the middle of or trying to quit cannabis. Yeah. I don't want to go too deep into it because I'm not going to bag on people who are trying to help each other, because it was very legitimate. This wasn't something that they were making fun of each other with, but it was interesting to see that side of it all. So and the way it attaches to what I'm saying is a lot of those folks in there were saying, well, I'm smoking CBD cannabis and that's it. You know what I mean?
I get it.
You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't, like I don't have to be a stoner. I can still be part of the culture, but not be a stoner.
Like being a vegan, I only eat this type of shit. It didn't matter what the kind of food it is. It's just how you do it. You know what I mean? So yeah, nothing against those folks. That's curious. I would like to go check that out. Like, man, at what point do you get where you want to stop smoking weed? Like, that thought had never crossed my mind. I've been asked, well, could I quit? And but I'm like, I ain't a quitter. What are you talking about?
Just put the subreddit up on the in the comment section right there for anybody who's looking for that, just to kind of check it out. Please don't go on there and rag on people. You're going to get booted anyway. No, I wasn't talking to you. I'm just saying anybody else. Don't fuck with them, man.
I don't even go on Reddit, bro. I've read some shit I just haven't done, but people like Reddit.
Let me tell you, man, I love it. I absolutely love it. Once I found the Seedsman affiliate subreddit, I think it's Cannabis Growers or something like that. Okay. it was just forget it. There's just because that group
you found a nugget of information on the platform. I mean, that's a totally different than just being on there like look at who and what the fuck's going on.
It is a different thing because it's all text based pretty much. Or, you can either leave a text post or a picture post. You can't normally do both. So, it's sort of it makes things a little bit more, I guess, controllable. I dig it because it's like I can go on there and it's like an interactive encyclopedia. You might get an answer back, you might not, and then you roll on.
But yeah, my experience wasn't all that bad. Like I said, I thought the setup was more ingenious than anything because I'm like, here it is. They've got this CBD office on Front Street called Miracle Leaf where all the traffic is at. It's got the green sign and all of that, you know what I mean, to lure all that stuff going on. And behind that is the actual dispensary. So when you come in there, you get your appointment with the doctor and, you can buy some of that stuff in there. Then you graduate, you go back to the big boys. You know what I mean?
All right.
But I was just like, man, all this tourism in this state that this state requires for people to work and all this stuff, you know what I mean? I'm like, y'all can't even take out of towners money. I'm like, that's embarrassing.
But I'll tell you this out of experience, you don't want to be caught up in Kissimmee, St. Cloud. That's not an area of the state of Florida that is particularly forgiving for people. You've got to know that they make a lot of money on out-of-state arrests, out-of-state tickets and stuff like that. It's just one of those places.
Yeah, I mean, they had this place called Machine Gun America. My kids are like, man, you get to go in there and shoot machine guns? I'm like, hell, I don't know. I ain't never seen a place like that.
Yeah,
either.
Any kind you want, man. They pretty much have everything. You can go in there and shoot big 50 cals if you want, Yeah,
bro, it was wild. It was like out there, it was like, what COVID, what pandemic? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, let me ask you, did you see a lot of people masked up out there? I imagine there's probably a good portion of
it. Yeah, no, I mean, I was pissed because ESPN Studios was closed where the NBA experience was at. I was looking forward to taking my son Bryce over there, who's big into the NBA, especially me too as well. Go up in there and see what that was all about, but that was shut down. So, outside of that, the weather was great. I mean, it was like 80 degrees out there, know what I mean? And flying back to this shit up here, but I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. So what is it? Oh, Sarah said that a cousin made it with a 3D printer, those trays.
Oh, interesting. Is he a Cowboy fan?
Print enough of them, he might turn into one.
Yeah.
Simon, love the show. Thank you so much, Simon. Love the fact that you're still coming and hanging out, man. I appreciate that. That's really cool. He seems over here laughing his ass off. Only for a job will you quit for a while? Yeah, I'm actually thinking about this, and this may be something I might propose. I'm thinking about going on a bit of a tolerance break, if I'm being honest. So, it's one I haven't done that in a long time, at least not willingly. But what I've been noticing lately is I am absolutely flying through cannabis. And I don't know it has a lot to do with the fact I'm probably home more than usual. And that's really the reason why most people are blowing through cannabis right now.
Maybe we're in a pandemic. They're getting told to stay home. You're in quarantine, whatever, however you want to frame it. But you're right.
It's flying, man. It's getting to the point now where I'm like, damn, and I don't know. It's like starting to be a little bit of a pain in the ass where I can't keep up with it, where I'm like, damn, I'm going again. Like I think I went like maybe once a week for a couple of weeks, and I'm talking about getting an ounce every time. That's a lot of bud, man. So I'm gonna take a little tolerance break and see if I can't cut that down a little bit.
Are you trying to make me feel like I smoke a lot of bud? Shit, I go like once a week, man. It's like an ounce a week. It's like 4 ounces a month. That's a lot of weed, man. Damn. Why you got to get me all conscious? Now we talking about people want to stop smoking and all this on Reddit, man. Come on, let's change the subject.
If it wasn't attached to money, we wouldn't even have this conversation. If it cost pebbles from my yard, I wouldn't be worrying about taking a tolerance break. It's really a save your money break is what I think I'm proposing. But yeah, I just find I find myself, my tolerance is mad high, super high, man. Like homeboys I smoke with, they come by and they fall asleep. They want to fall asleep kicking it with me, man. That's the way it is. Also, if y'all didn't hear at the beginning and the top of the show, the intro was from our brother Starboy Entertainment. That was Purge Squad. And I do believe he will be in Denver, Colorado tomorrow. I don't know if he's signing autographs, but I'm pretty sure he's coming out here. I wasn't able to give him a whole lot of information on what to do because of the situation. Everyone's in pandemic mode, you know what I mean? But restaurants and stuff like that are open now. So at the very least, if you're coming out, Starboy, at least you could probably go out and have some dinner at some nice places. I'm not going to guarantee you a concert or anything like that, but that'll be pretty cool.
That's what's up, Starboy in Denver. I know what they do. I know one thing he out there doing.
Yeah. I have to point him in the direction of good chemistry on South Broadway.
Welcome to the Mile High Club, literally. You know what I mean? That's the gang dude over there. You know what I mean? I see Starboy out there making big moves. I'm sorry I couldn't come down there, man. Eventually, we all gonna hook up, link up, cross paths.
No doubt. It's always good to go on break. Keeps you leveled. I think that's the truth. I don't know that I could say that that's. I don't know. I don't know if I've gone a few days, but you know what? I can also tell you in the same sentence that I don't know if I've gone a few days without my stomach hurting me either. Do you know what I mean? So, oh yeah, Bob, you just use that as an excuse. Well, I tell you what, man, anybody wants to just, if we can find a way to make anybody deal with what I deal with on my stomach for a week, you might change your tune. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, bro, as you get older, you know what I mean? Like I said, the norm for most retired military folks you hear is 2-3 years after you retire, they croak or some shit happens. For me, it was my appendicitis. It just popped. I had to go get it pulled. I had never had surgery while I was in, but if you don't take care of yourself in other ways, like eat right and these other things, I'm not saying you in particular, but I mean, that's one thing I've learned about being a veteran, man, is pain is invisible, man. So I don't give a fuck what nobody says. You don't know what I deal with. I don't know what you deal with.
Yeah.
Always be kind. You don't never know what people's going through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got people filming people in stores behind not wearing masks and dumb shit like this. Like, man, we ain't got nothing else better to do. Shit, go home, smoke a blunt, man. Shit.
That's the best advice I can give anybody right now.
Yeah, I mean, so we all do it for why we do it. I mean, we take a look at this administration and what's happening this year. You know what I mean? There's a MORE Act still got to go through the Senate. There's some things legally that could happen that could be sped up. We don't know. Only time's going to tell. I mean, hell, they might burn this place down in the next week. We don't know. Just stand by, watch with us here, man. The revolution will be televised.
Well, so the word on the street is that the Democrats will control the majority of the Senate, but that doesn't necessarily mean that a MORE Act will be guaranteed to be pushed through, simply because there's still a good amount of Democrats that maybe are not on the same page with cannabis.
I'm waiting to see how they gonna act, because obviously y'all holler all that shit. You know what I mean?
And then on top of that,
now don't be switching up now, because then that's a different conversation. You know what I mean?
There'll be Republicans that are down with it now. There'll be Democrats that aren't. And so, but at least, excuse me, at least at the same time, I feel like we're so much closer on that. And on top of it, we've had so much conversation about this state becoming legal, at the very beginning of this year. There's been so much of that movement happening that I believe it's going to have to somehow attach itself to the current administration, especially since Kamala Harris, introduced.
I'll tell you, this book right here called Weed the People. You know what I mean? This guy that wrote it, Bruce Barkoff. I'm about halfway through this book, man. And he talks about the progression of, you know what I mean? Him being around and talking to like this stuff we're going through, like as we witness history today. Obviously, we witness history this year. Some things get put into law. But a lot of the stuff he was talking about is who has been living long enough to see any kind of prohibition broken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would implore you, if you want to know about this industry, that's what I'm trying to do, is learn about, where this industry's, where it's been, where it's going, where it could go. You know what I mean? And get that together. I'll be sharing a book review about this, but they talk about a lot of that stuff in there. You know what I mean? It's in terms of, it's just, it's been on the wrong side of history. You know what I mean? If you know who what is his name? Henry Anslinger is. Okay. I mean, I remember who the guy was, but I forgot. And then I remember very quickly, I was like, man, this one dude just destroyed a whole industry. He destroyed everything. You know what I mean? So, and they talk about a lot about that stuff in here. So it's more than a, devil's lettuce type of, it's bad for you type of deal. You want to get some great perspective, man, go check out this book, Weed the People, by Bruce Barkoff, man. It's a great book so far.
The overall mentality, intelligence level of the average human, and let's say 1947, 1950, it was pretty freaking low, man. Obviously, as years and decades go by, we start becoming a more intelligent race of humans. And, that the thing is back then it was so easy to absolutely terrify the entire country by having someone in a position of power dictate what they think they should dictate to you.
It was all politically driven, and it talks about that in there. And Henry Anslinger was looking for an avenue. This guy just happened to have the juice before the fucking social media and the internet.
Yeah.
He was the guy that had the bubble and could create whatever picture he wanted to, like he did. And that's why you see those headlines that came out there. You know what I mean? Don't smoke weed. It makes black guys screw white women. You know what I mean? Just the stupidest shit you've ever heard. And it's like, man, because one person, now you look at what the capability of one person is still now with the platforms that are out there that they can or can't get access to.
There's more. I believe there's more people right now to at least try and point them in a different direction. I believe, like I said, every 10 years or so, most folks, the country grows a little bit more in terms of intelligence. That doesn't necessarily mean they're using that intelligence for anything. I think there's a lot of people who have a lot of knowledge now, but not a lot of intelligence. It's real easy to get information, but most people don't retain it anymore. But back then, like you're talking about, especially during the marijuana tax stamp days and stuff like that, it was all based to entrap your ass. And definitely,
yeah, he's talking about the guy that created Normal up here, that relationship, how they tied into politics. I was like, damn, man, I'm starting to see kind of this bigger picture. You know what I mean? From hanging around and hear what you on the show, and then also delving into books like that to try to get some perspective about it, be able to share here. But yeah, it's amazing. You know what I mean? That what had happened, and now that information is out there. So it's more or less it's not a legal thing. It's a what is it that what was it they said it was it's not about you. It's a civil rights issue.
Right.
And that's the other part of it, is not whether it should be legal or not. Now it should be legal, but the second part of it is now, because the lion's share of those folks that had the information and that access to that information, like Anslinger did, was like the Jeffrey Boehners of the world, who used to be a House Speaker, who invested in Acreage Holdings. You know what I mean? Was in the cannabis industry, who was staunchly against the shit. You know what I mean? So you got to wisen up to what's going on around here. They just figured out how to get their hands into the pots earlier, because now the next wave is not going to be whether it's legal or not. It's who's getting access to the permits and to the businesses. Yeah. Which demographic? You see what I'm saying?
And it's already, I tell you what, it's already an issue right now too. And I feel like there needs to be a little more of a revision. And at least in Colorado, I can only flower 3 plants at a time as a medical patient. I believe that's double in Michigan. It's crazy. And Michigan became legal way after us. There's a lot of stuff that I still think that needs to be tweaked. And the bigger this situation gets, I think the harder it is to keep grasp of all those tiny little things in the industry that are sort of falling by the wayside. And the right for everyone to be able to grow cannabis is definitely something that everyone should have. Everyone should have in America. Sarah says 12 there in Michigan. You can flower 12 at a time in Michigan. That's fucking crazy.
Bro, there's going to come a time where I'll go to the VA in the next few years and I'll be like, I want that fucking veteran strain from that dude in Flint, Michigan, who made that shit called Firewater. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? So there's going to be the game of strains, you know what I mean? Where folks, you think about once the VA from a veteran standpoint, for folks that like to use the plant for good, you know what I mean, in terms of mental health and things, for PTSD and depression. That's going to be, you don't think that's the number one reason why veterans kill themselves nowadays, because they don't have fucking access. Once you legalize this, you don't think more veterans are not going to come to the VA for some weed?
Yeah. And they've got the research.
It's going to happen, man. Book it in the next two years or whatever. It's going to happen, man.
Listen, Sarah, I got to ask you, if you are telling me that you can grow 12 plants and bud them all at the same time in Michigan, why aren't you and I closer friends? Why aren't you currently in the middle of a massive cannabis grow?
That explains why she has given us such big growing trays. You know what I mean? Damn.
Yeah, those are beautiful. Tyrone Davis says Idaho needs to do something. We suck as a state. You know what? You're part of that, right? Be part of that movement. Be part of that motion.
Yeah,
grab information and pass it around to your friends that vote, and get some people that don't vote to vote. That shit can change really quick. It'll probably get federally legalized for every state comes on board. It's just going to be some fucks out there that just don't want to get with the program. Right. And you know what? I think that I still think that's okay. I still think that having it fully legal so that the states can decide whether they want it to be fully legal is a fine thing. It's just a matter of
Bro, I was reading in this book, man, and you knew this probably too, that under Barack Obama, when Washington and Colorado was approved for this shit, it was like a pilot thing. Like they could have took that shit away. Like we could have been lost this shit.
Yeah, that's insane.
That had to make me think, like, man, because I know there's folks out there that don't have access to it now, and basically those are the ones who are advocating on here and try to share this information. So people have got, like, we talk about having the ability to access certain information where you're not going to get it otherwise. You know what I mean? So we can all take advantage of this, because being witness in history in terms of this legal cannabis industry, you know what I mean, that's being built right now, and stick around because we're going to be talking about investing I'm be talking about that language. We're gonna be bringing some investment platforms and talking that kind of language here in terms of markets in the cannabis industry and things. So I'll be diving into that and bringing that here in the coming weeks. But you got to get your boat in the water now, man, because if you don't, when that tide comes in, man, you're gonna wish the hell you had.
All right, Sarah says, even though it's legal, you live in a disability housing, they won't let you. All right, my bad. I was just giving you shit anyway. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that makes sense. And then
there's challenges. You know what I mean? That's damn, that's crazy. So you're legal and you can grow, but because where she lives, they say you can't.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll tell you, here's the deal. If I happen to live in a if I lived somewhere where the HOA said to me, you cannot grow cannabis in where you live, I would have to abide by that. That supersedes anything. You know, they automatic as private landowners and people who rent and have condominiums and housing authorities, they can say to you, you cannot grow, and you will have to abide by that. And I don't really know if anybody has ever tried to go up head to head with the HOA, but you will lose.
Well, I mean, a lot of that's just the stigma and everything that's still there. People are so far removed, man. Like I remember I was still in the Navy station in the Bay Area at the time. And I was learning about the Mendocino crop fields in Northern California and all that. I was watching some segment on TV and I was like, man, I need to invest in some cannabis. This is what I was thinking then. I was like, I need to get into the dispensary. Somehow I was like, man, but I'm in uniform, man. That's like, that's going to be like, I can't be running around talking about I'm investing in weed and I can't even, it was a little contradictory.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So it's just that stigma there, man. The folks, the people that, that are in position of power, in this country are educated on a lot of stuff. And as a result, the American citizens pay for it as a result.
Yeah. That's the damn truth. Simon says weed legal is a life changer for you. I'm the same way. Here I am complaining about maybe I smoke too much. That's sort of like a first world problem, don't you feel?
Yeah, to grind or not to grind. Like some of the shit we talk, like sometimes I know we had that bad conversation. Like we really just have to count our blessings because, there's folks out there can't even get access to it or even just CBD. You know what I mean? It's just.
And not only that, have the ability to talk about it in the forum in which we were talking without having to worry about being traced and having our door kicked in. Do you know what I mean? Like, 'cause that's what would have happened. I don't know if anybody's heard about swatting and being swatted, but that's definitely something that can happen in
That's that gamer shit.
It is. It's just people started doing that too. They started ratting on each other for grows and shit like that. It was a big thing.
Yeah.
Hooked up a Cowboy fan from Texas yesterday. Nice. Yeah, I think the fact that we're able to have these conversations, the fact that we are living in a time where it's so much closer than it was is a crazy thing. And this is something that we talked about all the time. I can vividly remember, and let's go back to 1989. So my first year of high school, let's call that 10th grade. Sorry, I just dated myself, but I remember watching some of these anti-drug because, I grew up in the middle of that Reagan era bullshit.
Just say no.
Yeah, just say no. All that fucking bullshit that was just meant to entrap anybody who was under a certain economic.
A lot about that in here, how things got politicized. You know what I'm saying? People once they went once you define a Henry Anslinger, no matter what it is, as a politician, they become pawns. You know what I'm saying? And they become reluctant to, all the access this guy was given and the power and the control. You know what I mean? But then folks wised up and began doing their homework. That's why shit changed.
Yeah, I forgot what my point was there.
I don't know. You're talking about, dating yourself in high school. You were watching the Just Say No campaigns and shit growing up.
And I remember seeing, and it was something that actually I've seen recently too, because either it's something someone else recalled from back then, but I remember seeing a cigarette pack that was exactly like a Marlboro package, but it said Acapulco Gold on it, 20 marijuana cigarettes. And it was basically like, this is what's going to happen if cannabis ever becomes legal in America. This is how fucked up the country is going to be. You're going to be able to buy weed anywhere at gas stations, and everyone's going to be all reefered up. And I remember that little box of cigarettes that was pre-rolled. And I remember saying to myself, wow, man, that would be pretty fucking cool. Obviously, I had already smoked cannabis a lot by that point, but my friends and I were always talking like, man, can you imagine that? Because
one could dream, right? Like I was saying, for us to be living and to to experience history of this cannabis shit, that's like they're gonna talk about this in years to come. Remember back when they legalized weed, that type of shit. People used to, couldn't get in the sandwich bag, that type of shit.
Yeah, it's
But
definitely. He says every single one of us let the dare tiger die.
man, look, I wrote about that in my book, man. The whole Reagan, you know what I'm saying? The crack epidemic, you know what I mean? That shit, same thing, you know what I mean?
Well, we all know that, and you know what? A lot of folks don't want to believe a lot of that stuff. And I'll tell you what, anyone who wants to know the truth about exactly kind of how that all went down, go ahead and watch a TV show called Snowfall on FX. If you haven't got your head around that show, just besides never mind the amazing acting that goes on there. And rest in peace, John Singleton, for he was the one that put that show together and created it. And he passed away before they were I think they're in the middle of still shooting that one, but it really goes very deep into how the CIA was involved in making sure that they can fuel the Contras with weapons by getting cocaine from Colombia and selling it to the people in the streets all over Los Angeles and California, New York, starting the crack epidemic, and then basically saying, oh, well, sorry, if you weren't so greedy to sell all the cocaine I was selling to you, you wouldn't have a crack epidemic in your neighborhood, which obviously.
And again, it just goes back to who knows the information and who's on the other side of the board. You know what I mean? If you don't know you don't have the whole purview, like I talk about all the time, the 30,000-foot view. You know what I mean? Shit, of course you're gonna think like 1,000-foot, like people saying you can't grow fucking plants in there because people probably grew up thinking that shit was bad, and black people gonna screw white women. You know what I mean? So you can't grow plants. You know what I mean? That's literally the mentality that's out there. It's sad, but that's one of the titles that came out of that says if you smoke weed, you know what I mean? Black women are gonna screw white women. They were doing that without smoking weed. I don't get it.
I think I know for a fact there was a time when folks were bringing over opium and all kinds of different drugs as well as cannabis over in the caskets of Vietnam soldiers.
Yeah, what movie was that? American Gangster, right? They kind of touches on that a little bit, right? About what's his name, John Lucas out there, right?
It seems it's exactly what it touches on, and that seems fictionalized. You know what I mean? Like obviously people don't really understand anything about that either, that particular drug kingpin either. But yes, it's something that actually happened, and it's just so unbelievable to the mainstream human that there's no way that there could be corruption at the government level or anything higher than that. I mean, look, we are only now at a position where we are able to expunge the convictions of all these cannabis offenses. I just read a story, a guy who has actually had a life sentence for cannabis. I don't even know what the hell he had to be caught with to get a life sentence for cannabis, but it was either a lot or somewhere in the South. But he got expunged. So, a lot of these things at least are kind of taking care of themselves. Has the damage been done? Probably. Once you spend some time in prison, you get a prison mind. That's the way that goes. But all of that stuff does trace back to Anslinger, and there was a big domino effect of trying to control specific groups of people with all that shit. And I feel like we're breaking out of it. I mean, at least
the same shit's going on, but the game just develops into new shit. Now you got, platforms, and, we've experienced being muted. It was good to see even the top dog can get blocked on platforms. I was tired of being the only one getting tattooed tears around this motherfucker. You know what I mean? So we've experienced some of that too. I mean, we're tricky here too as well. We could get shut down. You know what I mean? Especially, it's very tricky on Facebook when it comes to cannabis. You know what I mean?
I saw yesterday, I think I reposted maybe a week ago, Belushi's farm. If you guys haven't checked, Jim Belushi, obviously the actor, brother of the late John Belushi, he's had a cannabis grow for a couple of years now, and it's been I believe documented on Discovery or something. It's a show called Belushi's Farm or something. And it's definitely staged, but it's also kind of funny because it's Belushi. But he just posted something on Facebook saying, and Instagram saying, you know what, we've been, what's it called? Something ghost blocked or something, something in the form of, I forgot the term. The reason why I was saying it is because I had the term in my head. But basically, you're still existing, but you're not able to operate. You're not able to push your posts and stuff like that. And it's exactly what I'm experiencing on my Cultivating with the Cannabis Cowboy.
Yeah, bro. I mean, it's totally turned me off. Y'all don't see me posting on Facebook as much anymore. I got to get motivated to get the Built Different network group over there to post. You know what I mean? It's just so deflating. You know what I mean? That even as a person that pays to play on Facebook over there with the Built Different group, I mean, still your results is still, you know what I mean? Sometimes iffy, if you know what I mean, worth the investment. You know what I mean? So it's definitely tough, but I mean, one thing's for sure, at some point, everybody's going to be talking about this shit.
Clone Ranger, that's terrifying, my friend. There are still some states that trafficking in large amounts of weed can get you a death penalty. That makes sense to me. Not that it happens, but that it actually exists. That's
probably in the South where all the prison states are at. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a reason why there's a prison complex. You know what I mean, and all that. You know, we talk about politicians and money, and all them terms they've used. So, yeah, weed was just another political thing, and it's now being used as a pawn again because. You know what I mean? They were even talking about that during the stimulus shit. Oh, even after that, now they're going to wait. And, if the Republicans could win, it would have been the next thing on the Democrats would have been the legalization part. They could beat them down with, what I mean? So, but I'm going to beat some Democrats down if they don't get the fucking actor. So we're going to have to watch over these, especially the first 100 days, once we can get a president in office for the duration of this next term. And then, you know what I mean? See what's going to happen on the first 100 days of their watch.
Hey, man. The vice president is the person who put this motion in action for the change from marijuana to cannabis terminology and all of the points underneath that. There's a lot of stuff to be excited about. I want everybody to kind of get out of the point and click mindset of saying to themselves, now that this new regime has popped in there in the next 2 weeks, all of our salt problems are going to be solved. We still got a lot of shit we've got to do. But the thing is it's already in motion. And since 1970, folks like Normal have been pushing this rock to get it moving, and we're moving it right now. And like you said, Barry, there's states that are just thinking about it in a numbers game level, and that's fine. That makes 100% sense. If they think about it from a numbers level, they'll realize how much freaking money Colorado is making on cannabis every year for road improvements. There's shit that's been going on in Colorado that had been at a standstill for a long time before cannabis was legal.
Yeah, especially like in Vegas when I was just there and I could go in and use my ATM card and do an actual transaction at the counter. I didn't have to actually go to the ATM. So it's evolving, whether people like it or not. But do you want to evolve with it? That's the question. And those are the folks we're looking for here as we evolve with it too as well, because there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of information. And quite frankly, there's a lot of fortune out there to be made. It's going to be some people made some millionaires, some billionaires behind this very quickly.
I kind of have, even though I'm giving a lot of people the information, I have sort of stopped pushing it on my friends in Florida. I have realized that my friends in Florida that I've been like trying to bug, hey man, get a medical card while you can do it on the phone and do it online. A lot of them just kind of sat on their hands or just decided it wasn't important, which again, that's not a big deal. I'm not giving them beef for that. I'm just saying, I've been trying to be that person that's like, come on, get legal. So if you get pulled over with it or something happens, you're legal in some way. But I still think overall, most people really just don't care. And folks like that I grew up with that enjoy cannabis, that have been enjoying it the way they've been enjoying it their entire life, which has been sort of black market style. Some folks are just still accustomed to that. You know what I mean? So I had to kind of pull back the reins on that one and say, you know what, I have to stop pushing this, because if someone is not going to become legal during a time where all you have to do is pick up the phone and call somebody and have them say, yes, I'll send you a license, then there ain't no other time in the world that I can get them to do it. So the information's still out there, but folks, I gotta say the times are getting to the point where you might have to start going and visiting people to get these licenses. And if that was a problem for you before, get a card now, because you don't have to deal with it now.
Yeah, procrastination, man, it'll get you every time. Don't wait. You know what I mean? I would have never done it. I wish I'd have done it sooner too. I mean, I just didn't see the benefit of it. And then also being in a state where you don't have to think about that, because you can just stroll your ass right into the store and buy it. You know what I mean? And here we are now. So definitely it's a benefit, man. If you have been sitting on your ass and have not gotten it or have attempted to get it, you need to do so, especially in a legal state, especially in some of these states like, New Jersey, who just recently legalized, and they're putting that stuff out there now. So that way you can take advantage of it as soon as it opens up.
I think it's probably harder for someone who lives in a state that is recreationally legal to think about getting medically legal, because if you think about it, like we were talking about with you, why bother? I already have access to that shit. And it all depends on how your state has it set up. Obviously, you were paying a large amount of taxes and maybe some other things that the dispensaries might have been tacking onto your price because they had to deal with it and incur it themselves. But I started realizing that for me to go to like Good Chemistry, South Broadway, if I walk in there, I have to walk out with an ounce of cannabis for about $158, I think, is on the medical side. And if I want to do it on recreational, I believe it's like $188. So that's like $30. Now, does that make a big deal? It probably doesn't make a big deal. Someone in Colorado is probably not going to say $30 isn't enough for me to want to go get.
Shit, it is enough for me. Hell, I mean, especially when you get hit at the ATM for $5 to $10 ATM charge to take out $20 damn. You know what I mean?
Now it's $35. Now it's $40 every single time you go to the
that alone, the ATM charges. You know what I mean? That's save alone, man.
Yeah, and even like I said, Good Chemistry has to charge now too. I believe it's $3 on the ATM. They just got when they realize that they get a lot of hits, that's the way it has to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Convenient. It's convenience about the customer. I mean, I don't like going in there and having to wait in line and thinking about, oh, is the ATM broker? Is it out of money? Should I bring money? You know what I mean? That type. There's a lot of shit. I should just be able to stroll in there, buy the shit, but obviously it's not federally legal. So all the banking systems, they ain't passed all that stuff yet. And everybody can't do, point of sale transactions like you typically would in a regular business, because now you got to have them chips and, all that other shit.
Yep. Sarah says, I'll pay less and I have a better selection being a medical patient. So here's the thing about that. I'm glad that is the case. And if that's the case for a lot of people, that's awesome. I don't, at least not at the dispensary I shop at all the time. It's not really like that. But that also has a lot to do with the fact, like I just said, they're running a business. Recreational cannabis is a huge thing out here in Denver, Colorado. So why wouldn't Good Chemistry and other dispensaries, because it's not just Good Chemistry, every dispensary does it for the most part, offer you probably more strains, more availability to strains on the recreational side than you would the medical side, especially if you have a place that says to yourself or says to the patient, this is what we consider medical cannabis, Violator, Kush, all these other kinds of, strains, that's medical, but recreational is all kinds of other stuff that might not be in that vein. So that could be the reason why they're separated, but there's still that kind of separation too, where in Colorado, depending on the dispensary, you might be able to get different cannabis and sometimes better cannabis, and I'm talking about better meaning a different strain that you might not be able to get on the medical side. It sometimes happens to me, but again, damn, all that means is I have to take 2 steps over to a different counter at my dispensary and just pay a couple dollars more per eighth. Like,
just think about it. Just think about some of the strains we just talk about here that we get at the places that we go, and then once that becomes a federally legal market to operate in, you know what I mean? Then now you can ship that shit across state line. I mean, everybody's expanding, you know what I mean? So from the seed to what do they call it? From the, what's that process from the barcode from the time they plant it up till you get it across the counter.
The UPC, this barcode. Yeah, definitely.
If I'm investing in this, the shit I'm going to be looking at. What they say when you're when everybody's in the gold industry, maybe I should be in the picking the axe industry. So I'm going to be looking at tools to grow stuff. I'm going to be looking at soils. I mean, there's stuff that, people won't even touch weed or even smoke it or invest in it, but you could become a millionaire off of it by investing in pot and soil. Think about that.
Potting soil and pots themselves. I know that in the last few years, most growers have gone from the plastic pots that you always see to these fiber pots that make your plants able to have much better and larger root systems in your pots. They also cause you to have to water a lot more because there's more aeration. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that attached to all of this that could make a lot of money for some folks. If I just think
what's even funny. Remember when little Nate Robinson got knocked out? You know what I mean, on Triller that night with the fight, and everybody was clowning him. He went viral that night, and then the next day they had weed bags with his picture on there talking about get knocked the fuck out, whatever dank it was.
Yeah.
Like local people have, now we talk about just creating content on social media. Now you got folks out there in the game wising up that fast to be able to market their product like that. You got to think about the ingenuity that goes into some of this stuff, man. It's outrageous, man.
Yeah, it's next level, and it's definitely cutthroat. It's cutting edge. I know for a fact that's the way it is. And again, that's why I'm not talking smack about dispensaries. Definitely not Good Chem. It's still a business, and I still get all the cannabis I want on the medical side. There's just a lot of times where I'm like, damn, I wish I could get that over here, but I just couldn't. So, there's a lot of different rules and stuff like that. But I like the fact that depending on the state that you're in, that state could decide something different than another state. I'm not always about the blanket rule, because I think if this was the case, if they said, all right, you want it federally legal, fine. Everyone at home can only grow 6 plants and they can only bud 3 at a time. There you go. Damn, that kind of sucks. What if I want to grow more? Well, if you want to grow more, then you have to become part of the, you have to get a badge, the badge, and become one of the, a cannabis worker. And then you can legally grow it, which will cost you a good amount of licensing and stuff like that to get it done. I believe it's $200 to $300 if you want to be like a manager and get the manager badge. And so it all can be kind of costly if you want to kind of grow on a bigger scale. But every state has the right to choose what they want to do, and just some states are. I feel like that they're going to be last to be on board, and Texas might be one of those, unfortunately.
I mean, if you live on the West Coast, you don't really have to worry about too much. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It was nice. Shout out to Planet 13. You know what I mean? I went to Vegas. Speaking of, we were talking about Florida, but going to Vegas, they actually took my medical card and registered me in there, and you know what I mean? I got a discount, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Vegas plays nice.
You can go in there anywhere in Las Vegas with your out-of-state medical card and get medical cannabis there, which is badass. Is it recreationally legal there? I don't even know.
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah, anybody can walk in there, man. Okay. You just got to have that card. You know what I mean? I say the discount, and once I got registered, anytime I go in there now with my phone number, it automatically pulls me up at my bud tender station. You get the military, or you get the medical stuff because they're registered in the system. So they take a picture of your card, your registered card, and your ID card, and keep it on file, and they register you there locally. So,
I mean, if you don't want to think of a medical card as an actual medical card, think about it as a damn coupon. An active coupon you can use.
I can't remember. I mean, shit. Yeah, I got to go to Vegas and save some money, and now anytime I go out there, I mean, I went there once a day. Shout out Jenny Kush. You know what I mean? We talking about we talking about some fire, boy. It was good to get out there. I was looking for some Tyson stuff. You know what I mean? Some of them strains that are hard to get that was out there, but yeah, man, Jenny Kush. Shout out Jenny Kush. I told you that was Cultivation Labs. I don't know where they're out of, man. That was straight fire.
Yeah, I looked it up. It was named after I believe a cancer patient. I'm sorry, a cannabis advocate.
Yep.
And it was who I believe passed away. I don't know if they passed away from cancer or not, but I know that they might have passed away. But yeah,
it was a story behind it. I didn't even know that until you looked it up. So that was even better, getting it on the back end. Because man, I sent you the photos of it, and I've crumbled a lot of weed, man, over the last couple of years with my fingertips. But when I crumbled that Jenny, it just disintegrated into almost powder out of my hands. I'm like, this must be some super weed or something. But man, I'm gonna tell you, it was good burn, man. After you get down about through the last half of the blunt, man, it was like, yeah, there we are. So
Clone Ranger says, hell, man, you can get everything from bongs to grow lights on Amazon. Who needs a dispensary to grow your own? That's kind of funny. It's funny that you say that, because that is exactly what started my quest for an indoor grow right around May. I was sitting around and I didn't know how much longer we were sitting there. And I actually opened up my Amazon app and I had some extra money. And I think around $600-700 later, I had every single thing I needed, from exhaust fans to clips to fertilizer to soil to my tent to my lights, all on Amazon. So you're right. That's exactly right. 100%. And that's definitely something that, I always say to everyone, keep growing. That's the reason why. We have the ability to do so. And, if you need help, I'm here for it. So we definitely have the ability to get anything now, and it's so much cheaper. It takes so much less electricity. You don't have to worry about a lot of the things that you used to have to worry about when growing cannabis. It's the goods. What did Sarah say earlier? Smoke another one? Yeah, I mean, if you want me to.
Yeah. Make it a double, bartender.
It could be a challenge. Sarah seems a little bit like she would be challenging people. I like that. I'm gonna smoke a little bit more. But yeah, and again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's still a business. And as you experienced, the folks said to you in Florida, no, we can't sell you this, but why don't you go to this dude in the back that has the other form of business and see if he can't get some of your business. And they did, it's pretty crazy. It's definitely crazy to me that as long as they didn't mislead you and say, hey, you're going to get stoned off your ass when you smoke this. And
no, not at all. They were just like, man, go see the dude with the CBD in the front. And I'm like, well, yeah. Then I walked in and I seen gummies and pre-rolls. I'm like, oh shit, maybe I hit the jackpot, but it is. I was happy to be able to go through it and just sit there and talk to the guy who, he was a veteran too. And he just told me, I love how they had it set up. I mean, they got the doctors in his building and they can get the CBD products there. They're on Front Street.
Yeah.
And then, the dispensaries in the back, you know what I mean? So after you go through that, it's kind of like a funnel. You can come in here, get a card, you can do CBD if you want, or you can go right back there. You know what I mean? And they're two separate businesses, but they're essentially, strategically aligned there for a reason.
And before we get out of here, I had something I wanted to share with everybody. I've been taking CBD for I think about 3 years now, maybe 4, every day. And I believe I want to say that my daily intake was probably somewhere around 20 or 25 milligrams a day. In my opinion, maybe it has something to do with my, height, weight. I'm 6'3", about 210. It could be because I'm a little bigger. I don't know. But I don't feel like I'm still getting the benefits I got at the beginning. And I still feel like, and I was doing a little bit of research, and it's really somewhere between 50 milligrams, 75, 100 milligrams, where you start actually getting some of the really, really good reactions of CBD. And so I actually bought some CBD from Bluebird Botanicals. If you folks are ever interested in getting any CBD, get it from Bluebird. It's made out here in Colorado. It's amazing. But I got some, and it was really expensive, but I had a code for half off. And I just tried it a couple days ago, and I can sort of already feel more of a calming effect of the CBD and a higher dosage. So I'm talking about taking 50 to 75 milligrams a day now. I have for 2 days in a row. So that's like probably 2 or 3 droppers, I think. And I can noticeably feel the difference between the small dosing. So that's something to think about when you are don't fall into the trap of what's going on now, grabbing that soda can because it says CBD on it. First of all, aluminum degrades CBD right off the bat. So if you grab an aluminum can that has CBD in it, you probably don't have a lot of CBD in that can anymore. And 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams at a time isn't doing much. It could be doing something to help you. But really, the benefits are coming when you're taking a little bit more. So pay attention to that when you're dealing with CBD and stuff like that. And also, as my brother Bill pointed out today, taking CBD in conjunction with THC orally, I'm not talking about smoking it. If you happen to take a sublingual liquid CBD, take it with some THC liquid too, because they both work with each other and they'll work a lot better.
Hate to bust up the party, man, but I got to take a call and run to get out of here, Bob. It's been a great, man, to come on here and share this experience, man. I appreciate you. You know what I mean? Letting me be able to share that experience with them folks.
Yeah,
with them and everything.
We're at an hour, man. We're good. Folks, thanks for coming in and hanging out. Clone Ranger, I appreciate it. Cheers. Keep toking, man, for real.
Yeah, man. Appreciate everybody hanging out, man, especially the Clone Ranger. I don't think I've seen him yet, man. That's what's up.
I appreciate it, man. I really do appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a good one. Keep growing, and we'll see you next week for Square Groupers. Peace out.